Hello, this is Bonnie, and today I'm getting ready to show you another project card, and these are the Fairy Hugs products that I'm going to be using. I am going to be using the sentiment Jubilant. I am going to be using the stamp, you can see it's been quite loved, the Ginkgo branch. I am going to be using this stamp. It's called Lila and Robin, and I'm going to be using Lila. And I'm also going to be using my favorite die. There are several dies that Fairy Hugs has made. This happens to be one of my favorites. And so saying that, I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the things I've already got prepared. I have already die cut. I'm going to pull that a little closer. I've already die cut the it's actually, I'm sorry, I didn't even tell you, it's called Magical Hollow. I've already cut that out of brown, and I had wanted to cut it out of a white core paper with the idea that I was going to sand it so some of the white would show, but I don't think I'm going to be doing that. I think I'm just going to leave it just as it is. I have also cut out and stamped Lila, and so that I can have that going. You don't need to watch me do that. I've done this before, colored. Anyway, so she's ready. So is the die. So the next thing I want to do is I would like to start stamping the background. And I'm going to be making my own background paper. I'm going to lift this up a little bit. And you'll see what we're going to be doing. This will be kind of fun. This is just going to be random stamping the Ginkgo branch throughout the background. That is going to be my paper. And I'm going to be using two different greens. I'm going to be using VersaFine Clair Rainforest and Shady Lane. And these don't have to be a perfect stamp because I'm going to be slightly covering it up. And you'll see that's going to be the thing of surprise I'm going to show you. It's not so much a surprise, but one of the things I'm going to be doing differently. So just randomly stamping the two different colors throughout the background. I think this is a really pretty stamp. It gives really nice detail, as you can see. And it's not too bold. And I'm going to go ahead and do some of these. I think I'm going to go back and forth with the different colors. I'm not really sure. I might even keep it the one color as far as that goes because I really like this. So I think I am. I'm not going to add the I'm not going to do the rainforest. I think I'm just going to stick with this, although it would be really pretty to add both. So you can also really technically use the acrylic block for this. I just want, because it doesn't have to be solid if you don't want it to be solid. I'm just going that route. And it doesn't even really, quite frankly, have to be uniform, although those two are. I'm just trying to fit it on the page, however it fits. And this one's kind of cool because it has all the different parts where it can fit. And I'm thinking, just looking at it, how I'm going to do this, because I want to do this side too, but I don't want to overlap, so we're going to go this route. I haven't done this yet, so it's just doing it. So trying to look to see how that will fit on this side too. And I don't care that it overlaps. And if you don't want as much white space behind, you can come back and do second generation even behind that. It doesn't really matter. The second generation probably won't show overall for what I'm planning to do though. Let's see how this will work. So this really works going back and forth just because of how it's shaped. So it makes a good background. And the other thing is, if you want to, there's an open space on the leaves. You can even add a different color, and that could even be that rainforest color in your pencil if you wanted. Or I think I'm going to come back and do the berries in a purple lavender, because that will also go with Lila's wings. Because I'm kind of like picking up a little bit. I want to have a little bit of purple, really slightly. I want to kind of explain to you a little bit about how I like the purple and green together. The reason for that is here in the Midwest, not everywhere, we have a tree. It's called a redbud tree. I don't know what it's called in other places, but in the spring when it first gets its leaves on it, they're lavender, and they're purple, kind of purple lavender, and basically you, because it's spring, the background color is this really pretty green. So with a combination, nature always gives us a great combination of colors to put together. And that is one of my favorite colors in the spring, one of my very many favorite colors. And that is the purple up against the spring green. It's just so pretty. And that's kind of like, I should show you her wings. Her wings kind of remind me of that color, the nature color. And that's kind of like what I'm going for. So that's why I'm going to probably color the berries in the same color I did her wings from the, I used 3 colors, but I'm going to use like the purple because this is already green. So anyway, you can see kind of like how I'm doing, just making this background randomly, I want to make sure I get all of it in there, and I think that'll work. And like I said, this stamp is pretty forgiving in terms of how you can rotate it around and make it fit into the spaces. So that really makes a really nice background. Okay, so we're done with that, other than the fact that I am going to color those in, but I'll do that later off screen. You don't need to watch me do that. So we're done with that part. The next part I want to do is, I saw this card I really liked online, and what they had done is they had used a paper that was already printed that had a purple and a green in it, and then they put vellum over the top of it with a sentiment. And I thought, that is really cool. I really like that. So what I would like to do is, I'm going to pull this out of the way and pull it back in just so you can see what I'm doing so it's not in the way. This is my card. You can do whatever size you want to. It doesn't really matter. I did make it 5 3/4. And then I cut out a piece of vellum. Now, this vellum is thin. There's also, more of a thick vellum. This is kind of called like a tracing paper. And I want you to see how when you go to put that on top, it kind of slightly dulls that. I'm going to set this on here so you can see what I'm thinking. I'm going to put this on the top of that. That's my plan. And then I want to have her to the side. But I wanted to make sure that it's going to work, that this is not too busy to put the sentiment. So I have a couple different options because I wasn't really sure how that was going to turn out. So if I put this on here, it's a little bit busy. So probably what I'm going to do is probably behind here, I will probably put a plain piece of paper so that will show up a little bit better. But see how her hand will go right in there in between? So I'm going to have to be a little bit fussy about where I put that on here when I stamp it on here. I could stamp it on white and just stick it on, but I wanted to give it a little bit of a different look. So that's my plan. I'm going to stamp this. I'm going to stamp this, and I'm trying to remember what I was going to stamp it in. Right, I'm going to stamp it in the black and make it clear because I wanted it to go with her, with the black. So yeah, I'm just thinking, sorry about that. So that's my plan. I'm going to go ahead and stamp that, and then I'll show you. I am going to probably put a little bit, a circle behind here, just so that it pops up a little bit if it doesn't look as good as I want it to. So we'll take that off. I have to make sure, actually, before I take it off, that I have it in the right place on here before I stamp it, because it does have to match up with her hand. So let's get this on here. And the reason why I made the vellum bigger, I wanted to tell you that too, is I am going to wrap it around the back. And because vellum, the tape shows through, right? So I'm going to wrap it around the back. That's the plan. I want to make sure I have this situated right a minute here. So I'm going to just set that behind. just so that I have it in the right place. I allowed about a ½ inch all the way around the paper to wrap it around. I'll make sure I line that up decent. That's all I have to do. Okay, so I want to put her on, make sure that it's in the right place. And get this all set up. This is the only part that's really fussy. Okay. So that's going to work. And I need just to get out my sentiment and line that up and stamp it in black. And I'll be right back. Okay, so I am back with my, make sure this all is in the right place. This really is the part to be fussy, only because I want her hand to be there. So that is going to go there. Now, I wanted to tell you a little bit about what I like to do. Make sure that's lined up. Okay, what I like to do when I stamp on vellum and when I heat emboss. So I'm going to go ahead and do this first, and I'll show you. This is all set up. I think I need to tape this down. It's not going to hurt what's behind here. It's not going to go through. So I can go ahead and still take it out. It doesn't matter. All right. So I think we're set. And you don't want this to smear, so you have to be kind of careful. Make sure I get my stuff out of the way. All right, we're all set up. Now the deal is I want to make sure I get the embossing powder on that quickly. So I'm not going to be stopping and starting, just so you can see how that goes. All right. And you usually get one try when you do vellum. It does move. I don't want to do it twice. So I'm going to get this out of the way and show you what we're going to do. All right, I've got the Wow embossing powder, the Clair. The other thing you can do, you could do this in white. I do not have the best luck with white, so we're going with black and clear. I never find that. I haven't found a really good white ink that I like, and I haven't, so that's perfect. So, and I haven't found a perfect embossing ink yet either, white. It always seems to be a little bit chunky. I know they're supposed to be fine. So anyway, what I like to do, just to give you an idea, I'll pull this over, is I like to put cardstock behind the vellum when I go to heat emboss it. And it just keeps it stable. Otherwise it's too flimsy. So these are my, I usually use like some sort of a tweezer to hold it so I don't burn my fingers anyway. So normally I don't do this in front of the camera because I think it's noisy, but I really wanted you to see how this really does seem to make a difference. Plus the heat tool doesn't blow as much. So we're gonna go ahead and you can see how it's not as flimsy, and it just works really well for me to have something stable behind it. And so that's basically what I'm going to do, is just heat emboss it this way. And if you can, I think you can kind of see what I'm doing. It goes pretty quickly, especially when it's just on this paper. Alright, so you can kind of see the gloss to it, I think, that it worked. Worked really well. All right, so now what I want to do, other than getting that out of the way, is I take that off, and you can see everything it's the glossy, and then my original paper, but I can't really attach this yet. I do want to color it, but I'm going to just show you. So I think that if that's too busy, on there that I am going to put a little piece of white. I'm going to cut out a circular oval, probably the circle, because the circle will fit best in there. So I'm just going to cut out a circle to put behind it and color that in, and I'll be right back. All right, so I have the paper colored in. I just colored in the berries. Like I said, that would match with her wings. And then this is not perfectly in the center. And the reason for that is when you go to put this on, it's not perfectly in the center. I mean, just where I wanted it with her standing there. So, but the next step is, as I told you, I am going to be putting this on top. And I did want to have that in the space that I wanted it to be in. So that's where I want it to be. So I'm going to have to keep that as close as I can, just like that. And I already put the double-sided tape on. So I'm just going to bend that over. And I'm going to bend it over the other side, because I'm going to have to cut the corners so they lay straight. Although it doesn't really matter because it's just going to go right up against the card base. So, but I think I'm going to, let's just see. Yeah, I usually like the corners to come in a little bit, but I might be able just to turn that over. Let's just see. Yeah, I don't think it's going to, you know what, I will cut it. It just depends on what how you want it to look. But I think, let's see about these corners. Yeah, so it doesn't show over on that side. I'm going to cut this off, because I just don't want that little bit to show. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, because I can bend that in. See? That's what we'll do. Cut that little bit off, just a little bit. Okay, I got tape there. And then bend it in. You can do whatever you want to do, however you do corners, but I just want to make sure that corner is bent in when I go to turn it. Okay, so we'll take off that tape. And we've got our corners now. I'll show you on this side again. It's a little bit fussy what I just did, but it still works. I just don't need that much paper there. I'll get a little bit closer and show you. Let's do that like that. Oops, sorry. My finger got in the way. So I'm just cutting that little bit off, right? And then I want to make sure that that corner folds in correct. So I'm just going like that. Do it on this side. I guess I didn't need to fold over this much that far, but it works. So, and then I'm just going to pull this tape from underneath. That'll work. So now we have our paper. So we've got that all set up, right? So then the next step would be to put this on, but I want to make sure that Lila's in the right place. So that's going to work. So for the, all I have to do is put glue on this and set that down on it, and that will work. Okay, so I'm ready to put this on the card base, and I wanted to show you that too, because there's vellum on the back of this. I am just using my ATG gun, but you can use any tape if you want to on the back. And that should hold it fine in place. And I'm going to be putting that on the card base, just like that. Okay, then the next thing is I'm just going to be putting the Lila right in that place. And I put double-sided foam tape on the back of her. And again, like I said, I wanted her hand to go right there in that sentiment. And there we go. We have our finished card. It was a little bit different. It's not your normal stamping. I wanted to give you some other options as to how you could make Fairy Hugs cards. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will have the information in the description below. Thanks so much for stopping by.